CTV family. Catch us live on your TV screens.
All right, guys, it's Ibuyile and we are back. I mean, what better way to start off on Monday morning than to chat to beautiful people that are making moves in their lives. And I mean, the pandemic has affected so many people in South Africa. Abantu abaninzi have given up hope and they were like, you know what, 2020 can end. But Ncumisa, what about 2020 can end for who? And I'm going to make this year my year. Come fire, come force.
Oh yes, absolutely. We're going to be chatting to Ncumisa Mkabila. She is also known as the Spinach Queen. Hello, this is one. Kunje. Yeah, no, siyapila. Could you just tell us what it is about your journey that you would say is the highlight of your journey? I know we had a chat with Michelle and just before this, we had a chat and you were talking about Group 500 investments. But I'd like you rather to introduce you to us and then tell us, okay, what it is about your work that you love so much.
Okay, so Ncumisa, Spinach Mkabila, I'm 27 years old. I'm a female farmer and I'm based in eKhayelitsha. So for me, what actually stood out from my journey is before I actually started farming, because everything happened this year. So I started farming this year, but before farming, I actually had a catering company and I had to close down due to the pandemic. So you can imagine the catering company was my only source of income. So I actually needed to think of a plan. So what actually stood out for me, and that is actually what I'm using to actually motivate someone who's sitting at home, who's lost hope, because a lot of people also lost their jobs due to the pandemic. It's the fact that I did not look at the problem, but instead I found a solution to the problem. So instead of me actually feeling sorry for myself when my catering company closed, instead of me actually blaming the government, I actually needed to find a solution. So I started with selling chicken. I was actually buying it from a supplier and I was doing door-to-door deliveries. And then when I saw the demand was high, I actually decided to be a supplier myself, where I would actually supply chicken to people who would actually like to start their own business. Then after that, I identified a piece of land and I started farming.
And then also now, because I want us to now go back to where it all started. You did mention that you had a business prior before you became a farmer. Please tell us more about that business and what led to it having to shut down, and now what awakened now a spark for you to start something else.
Okay, so as I've mentioned, I had a catering company, but before having a catering company, I'm someone who believes in starting small, and I'm someone who believes that we should normalize starting small. Instead of waiting for funding, instead of waiting for sponsors, you need to start with what you have and gradually grow. Also, you don't need to wait on the government to actually fund your business, but you need to give the government something to work with. So before me having a catering company, I started with selling 5 Rand hot chips. So I started with selling 5 Rand hot chips. Then after that, I used to save each and every profit that I got, and I started with selling food, which is takeaways, which is umngqusho and all. Then when I was actually ready, then I started having a catering company where I wanted to actually host, like if someone was wanting to host events, I would actually be there. So I actually got my first gig. It was on the 14th of March. Then you can imagine, I got my first gig. I posted on social media. I got a lot of gigs. Then after that, national lockdown, we had to close down and all my catering gigs were cancelled. So I actually needed to think of a plan after that. So that is where I started farming. So that is where everything actually began.
Beautiful. We spoke earlier and you said that you started with 20,000 seedlings on the 20th. Something about 20, not 20. Hey, 2020 is not that old, it's not all that bad for all of us. You said you started with 20,000 seedlings and you had your first harvest in July.
The 20th.
The 20th.
Yes.
Tell us just how much you've grown from that very first seed to where you are right now. We also know that you've won, at least you've been nominated rather for an award. Tell us a bit about that.
Okay, so before I actually started planting, firstly, I did not have any market. I did not even know who I'm actually going to sell the spinach to. But then I just knew that I always post myself on social media, and my Facebook friends would just go out of their way to actually support me. So when I planted the 20,000 seedlings, I knew that when it's closer to harvest day, I'm actually going to post on social media, and then I'm going to ask my Facebook friends to actually share my post. So everything like from the media exposure, from the opportunities, everything has been happening so fast, and I also can't believe it myself.
Yeah.
So also, I'm part of Group 500 Investment, which is an enterprise development program. So they're all about empowering the women in the workplace. So before me being part of Group 500, what they actually asked me was what it is that you need, the most that you need. So I told them that I do not have enough land because I'm unable to actually produce as much as I would like to produce to
Yeah.
meet the demand of the community. I'm telling you, as we're speaking right now, they've secured land for me, and it's in Gordon space. So I'm also
Listen.
truly
Yeah,
grateful.
yeah, yeah,
And then
yeah.
also, I'm also supplying local supermarkets, which is Super Spine eKhayelitsha Mall and also Super Spine Harare. I'm also supplying local street vendors, the people that sell fruit and veg. So everything that has been happening, it's just been amazing.
Yeah.
And I've also recently won a competition for Sunlight. Sunlight has been like they ran a competition, which means that people's business that were affected by the pandemic. So I actually applied, and then I also won a Sunlight with competition with Sunlight as well.
Listen, I'm just sitting here and I'm like, you've achieved all of these things in the space of months. Gogo siko, Atina Sana, not knowing if you're going forward or backward, and you are like, listen, I'm not going to allow this pandemic to hold me back.
Yes.
And I think a beautiful thing that you mentioned, or one of the principles that guides you, is that you believe that people should start small and then they gradually grow as they go on in their
Yes.
journeys. And I remember in a conversation that we were having before the live show, you mentioned how your father played an
Yes.
influence in grooming the person
Yes.
that you are today. Please tell us more about that, brother.
Okay, so my father, he had a spa where, like a spaza shop where he was selling chips, he was selling biscuits, he was selling Ekse. Can you imagine that I'm still young, I'm still in primary school. When I come back from school, I had to go and actually sell something. So for me at that time, it was actually irritating because I actually wanted to go and play with other kids, you know. But when I look back today, I can actually see that he was actually preparing me for this day, because for me, I can sell anything. Give me anything, I can actually sell it.
If I
because
could give you
yes,
this paper, you'd be like, listen, Titan,
yes, I would actually sell it and make it fashionable.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
because
yeah,
I'm a
yeah.
person who believes in selling. Because selling, you can never go wrong when it comes to selling.
And I mean, with
Yes.
selling, you create a space to make umsebenzi,
Yes.
create job opportunities for
Yes.
other people as well. So that's really amazing. I commend you for that.
Thank you so much.
Definitely. And could you just tell us what significance it holds for you to be a young black woman who owns land? What significance does that hold for you, and what does it mean to you?
Okay, so for me to actually own land, it's quite a huge achievement, because now I'll be able to actually feed the community, because food security is very important. It's not an essential need, but it's a basic need, because just like water, we cannot survive without food. So for me to actually feed the nation at an early age, it's such a huge achievement for
Definitely.
me. And also while doing that, creating job opportunities as well, because I have 7 people who are working at the farm. So I'm also helping other people to actually feed their families and put food on the table.
Oh, beautiful.
And you also mentioned, guys, unfortunately, interview, you mentioned that you've been nominated,
Yes.
right, for the Star Q Awards, and you've been nominated under the category of being
Against odds entrepreneur.
yes,
Yeah.
you understand? I mean, this is like this is continental
A girl you can't
recognition.
get
You are
down.
now outside of SA.
Yes,
This is now Africa Yonke. Tell us more about that. How's that been? How did you feel when you found out that you've been nominated?
And how do we vote for you?
Exactly. Where do we go from here?
Okay, so for me, my dream was to actually be nominated, but it was like in terms of in the agricultural field.
Yeah.
I did not realize that I'll be nominated this soon, because my journey has just begun.
Listen.
So yeah, so for me to be nominated, to get recognition from Africa, because the Star Q Awards are from Africa. So for me to actually get nominations from Africa, that's like a huge achievement for me.
big, it's big.
And then I'm competing against people from Africa, which is Abantu base Uganda. So you can imagine,
You know,
I'm the only one
you're
who is representing South
SA.
Africa.
You're representing SA. That's amazing. Go, Tina, as East South Africans, we want to vote now and back you up. How do
Yeah.
you do that?
Okay, so you can actually go to their Facebook page, which is Star Q Awards, and then you can actually click on the business nominees. Then then after clicking on the business nominees, you will select my name and then you select vote. So there's no SMSs, you don't use airtime, you just use data voting on the link.
So it's a link that you
Yes.
people click on, and then they have to search for your name, and then that's how the votes are submitted.
Yes,
Yo,
yes.
I listen,
I
guys.
know. Talk about
Votani.
resilience. Talk about
Votani,
resilience.
Votani, Votani. But of course, guys, that was the lovely Ncumisa talking about her journey and how she started and how she did not allow the 2020 pandemic ubana hold the black. Please make sure bana you support this amazing lovely lady and make sure bana guys niya vota. Go now. Njengoba siza break, please go to the Facebook page of Star Q Awards. Make sure that you enter the link. You click on Ncumisa. It is under the business category. Make sure guys vote. She's the only one representing in South Africa, and she needs us to be behind her. Now I'm sitting here and I'm like, guys, this is my role model. Like, I'm looking up to women such as her, and it's really amazing that she's at such a young age able to set or lead such an example for Abantu that are coming up in these spaces, because I mean, being a farmer and also being a woman on top of that, it is a big challenge. Please make sure Bana and Indao will see you after the break.
CTV family, catch us live on your TV screens.